The release of the Epstein files looks to be a step closer today after lawmakers in both the House of Representatives and the Senate agreed to order the Justice Department to disclose records related to the convicted sex offender. The bill now heads to the desk of President Trump for signing. After a long campaign by survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, events accelerated in the last few days, with President Trump reversing his opposition to releasing the files after a growing number of Republicans said they would vote in favour of doing so. While in the House of Representatives, the vote was overwhelming, 427 to 1 in favour, while the Senate unanimously fast-tracked the decision without a vote. Questions remain, though, over whether the Department of Justice will release all of the papers or hold some back on the basis of their ongoing investigation. Let's speak now to our senior North America correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue. Gary, good to have you with us. How quickly could President Trump sign this, first of all?
Pretty much immediately, if he chose to. And, of course, he doesn't even really need a bill to order the release of these documents. He could have done that without any legislation whatsoever. But we'll wait to see whether he signs this with any kind of pomp and circumstance, which he often does with the signing of bills. You know, they have a whole row of pens, don't they, often? And he signs one bit with one pen, hands it to someone who was involved, signs another bit with another pen, hands it to someone else. That's all part of the normal sort of ceremony of signing bills. I'm not sure we're going to get that this time because he didn't really want to be here. As of a week ago, he was trying to persuade them not to pass this legislation, and we saw that 180 degrees over the weekend. But as soon as he signs it, the Department of Justice has 30 days to release all the documents in what's described in the legislation as a searchable and downloadable format. That's going to require a lot of work. There are some caveats. They can withhold stuff that's involved with ongoing prosecutions, and ironically, just before last weekend, Donald Trump ordered the Justice Department to investigate Democrats. So they might end up having to withhold some material relating to Democrats, which would not please the president. And there'll be some protections for some of Epstein's victims, the survivors of his abuse. So we'll see when all that happens. And of course, once all that material is released, ironically, this, in some ways, isn't the end of it, because that could spur and spark a whole fresh new round of questions about different people and their involvement with Epstein, what they knew about him, when they knew it, and what should be done next in terms of any potential prosecutions, etc.
Yeah, and to that point you were making, Gary, about President Trump ordering that Department of Justice investigation, Thomas Massie, the Republican who, along with the Democrat Ro Khanna, spearheaded this push to get the documents all released. At that point, he said this could be a smokescreen. That investigation could be a smokescreen because it could mean that some of the documents wouldn't be released or they would be heavily redacted. But, if that information isn't forthcoming in full, how much of a pushback is President Trump going to get from his base? Because that MAGA base has very much been in favour of full disclosure.
Yeah, well, in fact, Thomas Massie himself has threatened that if this stuff isn't released, to go out onto the floor of the House of Representatives and read out some of these names. I mean, so that would be an extraordinary moment. And of course, he'd be covered by some form of privilege that congressmen get in that sort of parliamentary context. So that is one potential pitfall if they don't release everything. So we'll see what they do. There is one small sort of fly in the ointment, which is that the Speaker of the House, when he voted for this bill yesterday, along with 426 others, only one vote against, he did say it should have been changed by the Senate. There should have been extra protections put in, some amendments done, and the Senate didn't do that. It nodded it through. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker, the Republican, last night said he spoke to President Trump about this and was asked, might the president veto this in order to send it back for changes? And he said, I'm not saying that, but, we'll see what happens. So there is just a chink of a chance, I think, probably only a chink of a chance that the president might veto it and send it back for these amendments, which would sort of delay that process of this stuff coming out.
OK, Gary, good to talk to you. Gary O'Donoghue there in Washington for us.